Hi there and welcome to the live stream. It's 7 p.m. on a Sunday evening and I've just waited for the UK's top nutritionist, as seen on TV, Richard Smith, to come into the room. But anyway, he's not here at the moment. So I'm guessing that he is busy organising stuff for the Carnival Conference, which of course is in 2 weeks' time. If you're listening to the playback or way past the conference when it's happened and it was great. So there you go. Right, I hope you're having a good day and you've got tons of questions. Just to give you a little bit of housekeeping, if you want to ask a question, early on it's very easy to find them. So we've got one where they've already put the question, and in front of the question, what you write, if you could put Q or QQQ, it just shows up in the live chat a lot easier than just writing a question, but that's okay. So the first question, good evening, Herbert, by the way. The first question we've got actually is from Carnivore Bot, but we need Richard in the room because it is about the conference and I don't have the answer to that myself personally. So I'm just going to name check a few people. Ribeye Rob, thank you. Good evening. Paul, hello. Like I say, Carnivore Bot there. And Knock Strength has got a good question. That will be coming up in a second. And we've got Jacana and Gaza, of course, and Alison Williams. It's all good. Or the Alison Williams, sorry. Not a Alison Williams. It's the definitive article, which is great. And Matthew, of course. Thank you, Matthew, for being a great supporter. That's really good. Knock Strength, personal training. I only eat wild caught Alaskan sockeye salmon from Waitrose. Yeah, that's cool. Right. So a little bit nonplussed because Richard's not here. So I'll just go into the questions and then hopefully when Richard turns up, we can add him and he can give his two penneth. There are interesting questions, so let's do that. I'm going to move my screen around a little bit to make sure that as soon as he's entered the studio, turned his camera on or whatever, we can bring him straight on. In the meantime, I will crack on. So yeah, sorry about that. 2 minutes in and we've done nothing except waffle. I hate that. When I'm watching other lives, I hate that. Right, so here we go. Radio. So the first question is from Carnivore Bot. Carnivore Bot. Wonder if we will be given name tags at the conference. If not, I'm going to get me and she who must be obeyed to make one up. And I think that's a really good idea because it's going to be very friendly and it'd be nice to know everyone's name. I would really like that. Also, for one of those things, if I don't recognize a client that I've coached, because sometimes meeting someone in the flesh out of context can be a little bit jarring, actually. I had at the last thing, the Ancestral Health, someone say to me, "Oh, didn't know you had muscles." So obviously I look like a sort of pencil neck when I'm on this, but I do work out. So anyway, in the wings, he's just applying his last little bit of makeup, doing his lipstick. I can just see he's blowing his hair now. Hair dries, just putting the hairdryer down, and we'll bring him on stage. Here he is, Richard Smith. You can answer the question, mate.
Good day.
Oh wow, you're nice. Yeah, nice and loud, mate. That's great. Yeah, Carnival Bot is wondering if we're going to have name tags at the conference.
Are we doing name tags at the conference? Good question. I don't think we were going to, but I will bounce it over to the team and I will let you know.
Excellent. Okay.
How's that for a short answer?
That's a very short answer, yeah. Right, we go to Knock Strength personal training. I bought some frozen pollock from Waitrose and cooked some tonight. I noticed it says responsibly sourced to MCS standards. That's the Marine Stewardship Council. Should we always get wild fish, or do you think this can still be healthy?
Yeah, wild caught preferably. I think you probably know more about the MSC than I do, but I have heard from a number of sources that they are not as reasonably sourced as we would wish to do so. I don't think they're wild caught, which means that they're probably farmed. Farmed salmon is probably just as carcinogenic as vegetable oils. So my opinion on fish is always buy fresh and always buy wild caught.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I would say Waitrose possibly are not that bad when it comes to fish. Morrison's are better, And I think you can see that from, let me just look up the
And Lidl also, I think, from previous research at that time, I think the quality of their meats and fish is one of the better ones.
Yeah.
Yes, so those are the ones I would opt for. I won't go bad mouthing other supermarkets, but if we haven't mentioned them, then
yes. What is the? I'm just putting what is the MSC criteria? I know it's to do with sort of points, and they have to get a certain amount of points. So I think it's up to 80 or something, and then if they get between 60 and 80 points, then they get the certificate. My internet is down on my other screen, so I will try that later. And we'll move on to the next question. I will come back to that NOx strength. I definitely will, because I think that's interesting. So the next question, where is that? So it's from Matthew, actually, and that is, what are your thoughts on TUDCA
as a supplement? I don't know. I've never looked into it. I'll be honest. It's unsure. Have you got any thoughts, Steve?
I have. Are you okay tonight, Richard? You sound absolutely knackered, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been a long day.
All right. Okay. Has it been a disappointing day, or just tiring for?
Yes, just an exhausting day after the end. I think the end of a week of lack of lots of sleep in preparation for the Carnival conference, possibly, but all good. We're here fighting fit.
Yeah. Well, TUDCA is a bile acid, just for people that want to know, and I think taurine is in there somewhere. I think it's like the precursor to it. I don't know much about it. I've never had anyone take it. I've not taken it myself, so that's as much as I know. So we've been floored by. I thought you'd have all the SP on all the supplements there.
It's one that I've never tried. I'll be honest. I mean, when it comes to, I own a supplement store. You know, this is what I do for a living. I sell supplements. I'm all for supplements. I've come to the recent understanding that if it's one that hasn't crossed my radar previously, then it's more than likely not worth considering. When I look at these other supplements to hit the market, we look at all of these other compounds that come on the market and seem to do these magical things. And many of them will overexpress our good friend, the NRF2 pathway, which is one that we're not big fans of. So what's it doing in the body? But I mean, if it's natural, creatine is natural, you know, taurine is natural, all these compounds are natural, and we can get these from animal proteins. I'm all for achieving and consuming everything that we need as and when we can from our diet. And all of these compounds are presented to us in a perfectly packaged present as nature intended. You know, the exceptions to this, in my opinion, would be things like creatine. And then is the purpose to it? I mean, for life and health and well-being, there's plenty of creatine in red meat. You know, if you're consuming a kilogram of meat per day, we're consuming 5 grams of creatine in form from the red meat. And this is all we need to thrive. Does that mean that it's optimal for athletic performance? Possibly not, because I believe 10 to 15 grams to be optimal. But then through our evolutionary period, we wouldn't have been bench pressing, you know, 160K and squatting stupid amounts of weight. These are not movements that we would have done for repetition in our evolution. You know, we would have been hunting and tracking animals, so we would have been cardiovascular fit. Yes, we would have been strong from carrying animals back, so on and so forth. But we wouldn't have spent there doing repetition after repetition, trying to build muscles for aesthetic purposes. So the supplementation of creatine, for example, in that case, would be beneficial. And this is my view when it comes to supplements. Are they supplying a medicinal purpose? If so, then why are you taking it? And what is the problem? Let's find the root cause and address the root cause rather than address the symptom. Beyond that, I mean, is it athletic performance? You know, yes or no, tick the box. And beyond that, then other supplements that we know will confer a benefit are things like this, you know, the C8 oils and the exogenous ketones, because they allow the body to work within a parameter that isn't achievable within the normal constraints of a healthy diet. But again, that would be in order to achieve a goal. For me, for example, coming on the live, that would be, the purpose of me taking an exogenous ketone or an MCT, competing or racing, training, and so on and so forth. But it's, what is the purpose for the supplement, I would say? And when we break it down, all of these compounds are quite often achievable through a healthy, optimal, ancestrally appropriate diet.
Yeah, I think for the people that are listening on the audio, TUDCA, TUDCA. Well, the UDCA is a bile acid, and the T is the taurine. And I know the bile acid, which is called UDCA, has been trialed to help with, I think it's either liver damage or kidney. I think it's liver. I'm going to put my hands up and say I think it's for liver, because that would make more sense. But that's all I know. And I think it's something sort of like an emerging supplement. But Richard, I absolutely take my hat off to you. If you haven't heard of it, I would think it's probably not that good. Right. I've actually got the Marine Stewardship Council criteria up because I didn't want to do it from memory. Sustainability. So there's 3 main tenets to it. Sustainability of exploited fish stocks. The fishing activity must be at a level that ensures it can continue indefinitely and the fish population can remain productive and healthy. Maintenance of the ecosystem of which the fishery depends. Fishing operations should be managed to maintain the structure. So obviously we're getting to the point where it isn't wild at all. Effective and responsible management. The fishery must meet all local, national and international laws. And then each thing has a score. And then if you get up to 80, you get the Global Best Practice Award up to the 100. So that's what it is. The bottom line is the sort of line caught and not farmed is going to be better for you in the long run, as Richard said. So, but great question. That's fabulous. One you definitely will be able to answer, Richard, is from Lee. Guys, is it okay to drink Richard's MCT oil and electrolytes at the same time? So what's that, in 2 vessels and sort of like a party trick? Or 1 big vessel, 2 straws? I don't know. Anyway, yes. Is it okay to drink your MCT oil and electrolytes at the same time?
Yes, for sure. So this is what I would do on a daily basis, except I tend to use the powder. The powder works a lot better when mixing in a bottle with the electrolytes. It adds like a thicker consistency as well. The oil is fantastic. You can mix that with the electrolyte formula. What it will do if you mix it in a bottle is create an oily residue around the top, and when you're drinking it, and it tends to come down the side of the bottle and all over your hands, and MCT oil can become incredibly messy. So yes is the short answer, but my preference would be, if you are mixing, to utilize the powder instead.
That's great. That's really good. Right, let's go to the next question. Thank you, Richard. You're very short and sharp tonight.
Short and sharp. Yeah,
I think this one's for you as well. Sorry. Herbert's son has just asked him if creatine can cause muscle pain.
Yes. Creatine will allow you to fill the muscle with more fluid, more volume. Now, this is the reason that I have removed it from my supplementation profile. I'm a big advocate of taking creatine for a number of reasons. It's very good for the brain. It's incredibly good for lifting heavy weights, building quality lean muscle mass. And it does this by fueling the PC system, the phosphocreatine energy system. And when we take it, it will allow us to lift heavy weights for longer, but it will pull volume into muscle. So it will pull water into the muscle bellies and allow you to have more leverage to lift more weight. But it can cause cramping. It will make you incredibly hard. So you know when you're taking creatine, everything is hard and rock solid, which is a fantastic feeling if you're lifting weights. So it can cause that sort of pain if you are not adequately hydrated, for example. You'll notice it also in your calves. So for me, being a runner now and a cyclist, if I can call myself that even, creatine causes pain in the calves of my legs and cramping. So it's one for me not to use in regards to endurance events, and it is more for heavy lifting and weight training, bodybuilding, so on and so forth, sprinting even potentially. Explosive movements generally, it tends not to work so well with endurance stuff. Although I do know people who do use it for that reason. But yes, it can cause it can cause muscle pain. A correct electrolyte balance is incredibly important. Just even being hydrated with water in this case is going to be beneficial and help to eradicate those pains. Possibly taking too much. We can build creatine over time when we consume it. Quite often on the side of a creatine tub, it will tell us to go through a loading phase of as much as 3 to 4 weeks where we consume considerably more. You don't have to do this. There's a lot of controversy in regards to whether we should. I always used to, because I found that it used to fill my muscles quicker and allow me to adapt quicker, and I would be lifting heavier quicker. But just taking it on a regular basis, it will build up over time. But you could be taking too much potentially, especially if living a carnivore lifestyle and consume a kilogram of meat per day. Again, a kilogram of meat is going to supply around 5 grams of creatine naturally. So yes, hydration's key, I think. More water, more electrolytes, more salts, or potentially less creatine.
Excellent.
Or maybe less training.
Thank you, Susan, by the way, for the super chat. We just do that just to remind people, if you want to jump the queue, you can always use the super chat. My last blood test showed my alanine aminotransferase was 39 ULs. Is there anything I should be doing to correct this? Susan, thank you for the question. That's sort of not a bad range anyway. But with all liver enzymes, it needs the other 3. So we need ALP, ALT, AST, and GGT. Because when you're looking at liver enzymes, we are looking at trying to get a pattern from the 4. So I think I'm going to screen share now, if I can find it, because I did this deliberately because there were so many liver enzymes. Let's have a look, see if I can find the chart I did. And it was just showing you that the pattern is more important than anything else. If I haven't got it, I do apologize. And it will make a lot of sense. Do you have anything to add to that, by the way, Rich?
So ALP, I think ALP, AST, GGT, going by memory, alanine aminotransferase. So this ALP, go on, fire away.
Yeah, I've got my thing here. I'll present it because I think that will actually make more sense, because everyone can then see the relationship I'm talking about, how they do a diagnosis. Right, so this is it. This is it. I have formalized this in a better way. I'm going to just get rid of your question off the screen for a second, Susan, so we can see the bottom of this chart. So when you're looking at ALT, AST, ALP, and GGT, these are the enzymes that come from the liver. And ALT is notorious for going up if you're weight training, and it can stay elevated if you do intense exercise or you've got any sort of muscle breakdown. And what this is showing you, I actually improved this, by the way, is you can see here AST is really high. If you're looking at viral hepatitis, for instance, you would look at AST being over 250, and ALT being over 150, and ALP being over 200, and GGT over 100. So that would be viral hepatitis. Well, what we would do with your reading is look where your reading is and then try and marry up. So there's a blue one here and a purple one here. Sorry for the people on audio. But then we would say, right, okay, well, the healthy control is here, which is pretty much where you are, you see. So we'd need to look at your ALP or your GGT and AST to make sure they're all in the same sort of ratio. It's really that simple. We need those 4. But you're in the school group, Susan, so just give me the whole bloods. Just send them to me and I'll have a look over that. You happy with that, Rich?
Spot on. Yeah. I think, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we've gone into this a number of times, I think, in regards to other conditions that can elevate certain enzymes, like, as you say, the breakdown of muscle proteins can increase. ALT, by memory, ALP was connected to heart conditions. I think AST is also used for the production of bile, or was it ALP? So eating more proteins may see an elevation in that. And GGT also with bile production. But you're right. I think you can't go off any one. You need to look at the correlation between all of these. I was looking through bloods recently with a client of mine, and one marker was considerably elevated. Everything else sort of cancelled out what that marker would be interpreted to be. So it is very much an overall picture, isn't it? You know, we can't go off one metric. And I think you're right. Looking at that chart, it explains everything implicitly.
Yeah, and I actually improved it. I'm going to change this and show you how I improved it, so it's an easier thing to look at. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can share it. Both Rich and I have had obviously a very long week. So yeah, I thought that was confusing for some people. So I came up with a pattern. So this is much easier to look at, because if you do all your 4 bloods or 4 enzymes tested, and you get this sort of pattern, which is sort of like a very flat, pretty much a flat line, with just a little bump in the in the third reading there. And then the other one has got a very high AST, and it's sort of like a step down, then a step up and a step down. And then the other one is steps up. And then the last one is really like a big final step up. So for those listening on the audio, sorry, you probably lost there, but that just makes it much easier. So you've got a healthy pattern there, viral hepatitis as a pattern, alcoholic fatty liver, and then you've also got cirrhosis. And you get these very clear patterns, these very clear ratios. So, right, okay. I might send that to Rich because he seems quite interested in that. I hope that was a good answer. Good. Right. Excellent. Let's get to the next question. Oh, wow. Another one up your street. Jay Karner, sprinting and heavy weights, minimum reps, along with a carnivore diet. Will this be good for visceral fat reduction?
Sprinting, yeah. So if we look at visceral fat accumulation, there are links to endurance activities. I think, in fact, you may have covered this recently on Carnivore Team GB. And there are differences of opinion in regards to this. And I say this because I've come from an environment of explosive movements like lifting heavy weights, powerlifting, bodybuilding, and I was incredibly fit and healthy. My visceral fat was 1, which is the lowest you can get, by the way. And I've got this on file, which I present in, and I'll be presenting again shortly at the Carnival Conference. So from a visceral fat perspective, I was incredibly healthy. Now that I've gravitated into longer distance running and so on and so forth, the thing with the endurance exercises is that it involves cortisol. So cortisol is used in order to create glucose. Cortisol is used for gluconeogenesis. So we need cortisol to be functioning correctly. Prolonged periods of overexpression of cortisol, it blocks the negative feedback loop and creates a positive feedback, which then stimulates further production from the hypothalamus and the pituitary and then the adrenals to increase cortisol beyond what it should be. This then leads to, it does the opposite to what it's meant to, because cortisol suppresses insulin, it lowers insulin, which sounds fantastic because that's what we all do, living carnivore. But the overexpression, again, blocks this negative feedback loop, creates a positive feedback, which increases insulin resistance. And then through this mechanism, it leads to increase in visceral fat. Now, I haven't tested, and I should do. And this is, in fact, I'm going to do this before next week because I think that my visceral fat is increased. Like I feel it. You know, I know that sounds stupid, but I feel, even though I'm fitter and healthier than I've ever been when I was bodybuilding, I feel that it's harder to lose this this fat, especially around the midsection. So that's going to be an interesting experiment because I was always one when I was bodybuilding. I am a big believer in sprinting and heavy weights being the best for this, being ketogenic. And using the body to produce ketones, the first place it's going to take it is from the liver and the visceral fat. That's where it predominates initially. So just living the lifestyle is going to see a reduction before it sort of targets the rest of the body. This is why when we begin the journey, we may not notice any fat loss from our body, but it's coming from inside. It's coming from around the organs and the dangerous fat, so on and so forth. But yes, sprinting, lifting heavy weights, fantastic. Now, I do have a workaround for people who want to do endurance sports, but don't want to overexpress cortisol and block this negative feedback loop. And it's called split training. So for example, and I'm a fine one talking because I've done a 10-mile run this morning. But I'm doing this for a reason, and I'll explain this later on. But the best way to train for these events are by splitting the events. And instead of doing 10 miles or 16 miles or 20, is to split it half and half. Do one session in the morning and do the other one 6 to 8 hours after. This results in better cortisol management because you're not overexpressing for prolonged periods of time. And I think this is a workaround. Plus, it also builds the body's ability to adapt to the mechanics of running, building up the strength in the tendons, ligaments, and joints, and so on and so forth. And it will help avoid injury. But it also upregulates specific enzymes that allow you to burn body fat for beta oxidation and allow you to perform better. So split training for endurance stuff, that is my workaround. But the short answer is that, yes, lifting heavy weights and sprinting is fantastic, along with living a carnivore lifestyle for visceral fat. Rowing also incredibly explosive. Spinning on the bike, you can do this incredibly quickly. Anything that is all out efforts. I mean, the thing with sprinting is if you're not used to sprinting, you're more than likely going to cause damage. If you haven't done any running for a long time and you hit the track and try to sprint 100 meters and you do it again and again, you're probably not going to be able to walk for a couple of days. And I just know that sounds absolutely crazy, but I know this to be true because I've been there. So sprinting is fantastic, but if you haven't done any running, Jay, I would suggest to maybe begin with some rowing or some stuff on the spin bike, or some slow running and build up these adaptations slowly so you prevent any injury.
Brilliant answer. Brilliant answer.
They're getting longer.
They are, aren't they? Ribeye Rob is saying Bradley's Fish Online get sockeye salmon from Alaska, blast frozen on the boat as soon as they're caught, which is great. And there's a plug for your electrolytes, I think. Just purchase 4 tubs of Richard's electrolytes with free postage and discount code and super quick delivery. That was great. Okay. Just going back to questions. Carol, with an E on the end. Why would my creatinine levels be low on carnivore? I am 68, still losing 1 pound per week, not very active. Well, it's because you're losing 1 pound a week. The levels of creatinine are closely related to muscle mass, but also overall body mass. So if you're losing 1 pound a week, but you're not very active, it will go down a little bit. You could also see it go up if you lost 1 pound a week, but you then suddenly started to increase your protein intake because there would be more protein metabolism, more breakdown. But it sounds if you're sedentary, you're losing a little bit of weight, you will see your creatinine levels going down. Not a big problem. And I just put a proviso in that. I'd need to see all your labs to actually be categoric about that. But in the main, that's a common thing. So I'm not giving you one-to-one advice. It's not a diagnosis. That's what I've seen from a decade of blood tests. It's pretty much explainable. Now, if you wanted a proper assessment, you can book either of us for coaching and just send the labs, but it's the full labs. Again, very similar to Susan's question about ALT. You know, if you want to know about kidneys, then you've got to send everything that's been tested. So your blood urea nitrogen, urea, obviously creatinine, you want your EGFR, if possible, cystatin C, and any other things that you've got there. So maybe like magnesium, all the biochemistry, red blood cells, white blood cells. There's so many things that can be really helpful when looking at that. But in the main, right now, this is not one-to-one. This is in general. If someone has that and they say exactly what you said, I've lost a little bit of weight, I'm very sedentary, that is something I see a lot. But I can't say it's perfect. You'll have to follow up with a bit more information. You could, of course, join our school community and ask this question, and you'll get other people helping you out who've possibly had the same thing. And also, I'll be able to spend a bit more one-to-one time with you. Right. Okay. Another one for me. Coach Stephen, I believe you said last week that you've increased your egg yolk consumption. Why? I'm eating 10 yolks today. Right. Okay. Now, this is the least scientific answer you'll have tonight because I like them. You know, I've been having a lot of scrambled egg as like the first meal. And as an experiment, I did a scrambled egg with, instead of 6 eggs, 6 whole eggs, I did 3 whole eggs and 4 yolks, you know, just to see. And it was just tasted nicer. So I'm not one of these people that 100% believes that food is not entertainment, because I really enjoyed my food. I really do. And if I can make my scrambled eggs taste even nicer, I will. We're very lucky. We have a local person that's got free range chickens that run around, and you see them in the street or on the verge. So we know that they're quite adventurous and they eat all sorts of stuff. And the eggs are fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So simple as that. If you want to go into what's great about eggs, everything. You know, it's got all the essential amino acids. It's got all the fats you need. It's got so many good things going for it that it's unbelievable. It's also the second most bioavailable form of amino acids after breast milk. So it's great. It's even better than beef, the bioavailability. So fabulous. Now, some people don't get on with eggs, and some people don't get on with the egg whites. So there's lots and lots of different ways, but don't go mad with the eggs. If you don't like eggs, you don't have to eat them. We have to be careful what we say, don't we, Rich? Because people take it as like we're just talking to everybody. If you don't like eggs, they're not essential, but they're really good if you like them. That's it. Right, I'm going to ask you to pronounce this. Gaza, I think it's Tada Alafi or something like that, which is a medication for erectile dysfunction. I know that. Cause joint pain. I don't have failure to launch, which is the alluding to the reason most people take it. I take it to boost nitric oxide, which is what helps erectile dysfunction, as I mouth breathe during sleep. Why does it cause joint pain? Can you speculate, Rich?
Oh, do you know, it could be anything really, couldn't it? I mean, it's I don't know. Again, this is another one that it's not your typical carnivore question. When it comes to meds, you know, I'll put my hand up. I'm not a doctor. I'm not medically trained in regards to medication, so on and so forth. There could be a number of factors. Do you have any ideas?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, how it works is it increases blood flow. So what you're doing is you're expanding your body's natural ability. So that's why it works with erectile dysfunction. Let's not be too grotty and sexy and all that sort of stuff. You know, it makes that area very hard, right? So if you're talking about joint pain, what's it doing there? It's putting more fluid in than maybe there should be there. That's it. So just using common sense, I would try to get my nitric oxide from sunlight, early morning, late night, and try not to biohack too much, because with all medications, there are side effects. And I would imagine if you looked at it in the insert, it would say joint pain. Seriously, I think it would say that. So that's speculation, by the way. I don't know 100%. When I did my specialist practitioner qualification to be on the GP referral sort of remit, we had to study all the medications, but it is broad brush. This is why, I mean, even GPs will look up on the internet about medications just to double check why you're having an appointment with them. I'm speaking from what I'm told. I haven't been to the doctor for about a decade. So I see you're looking like you're ruminating. Have you got another idea then, Rich?
No, yeah, that sounds fantastic. I was just looking at more the nitric oxide. Citrulline malate is a compound or a supplement that I take every day to increase nitric oxide. I take it several times throughout the day. It has a citrus type taste, as stated in the name. It's incredibly easy to drink. You can add it to almost anything. That's why I take citrulline malate is to increase nitric oxide. It's a potent vasodilator, and it allows me to perform when I'm running at a much higher capacity. Training, endurance events, lifting weights, whatever your go-to is, it's all about getting that oxygen throughout the body. And this is what citrulline malate will do. It will allow me to get oxygen to my muscles when they need it. So it does allow me to perform better. It's incredibly cheap, so you can buy that online absolutely anywhere. So give that a try, guys. It's super cheap, and the side effects, I don't even know if there are any. I've never noticed any ill side effects other than gastro distress initially when you get carried away and take too much. So start small. If you look online, the citrulline malate intake, I mean, it says to take quite a sizable serving. I think it's like a tablespoon. I would begin considerably less than that. I would begin at maybe half a teaspoon and build up, or take it more regularly throughout the day, which is exactly what I do. So I tend to put now about a teaspoon, give or take. They do come with a scoop, but if you look at the amount for optimal activation, if you like, or to get the best out of that product, I'm sure it's around like a heaped tablespoon equivalent, but you're better off consuming this more regularly throughout the day. So that's my go-to for nitric oxide, and the sun, obviously.
Yeah, brilliant. Really nice bit of feedback here from Unrefined Trends, and I'm really glad you put this because it's something I say a lot and people don't really listen. A few weeks ago, I asked about my bloods. I'm a 50-year-old female. Creatinine was 173, and my GFR, by the way, was 29, and it was dehydration, which I do suggest to a lot of people. A week after rehydrating, both results were no longer a concern. So thanks for that. Brilliant. Caroline's got a two-parter. I buy half a side of salmon from Asda when it's in the reduced section. From what you mentioned earlier, fish being possibly dangerous to eat, should I stop? No. I do that. I've asked the fish counter at Morrison's, when do you mark down the prices? At what time of day do you go around and do that? And then we buy it. The thing is, it's actually an indication of the fact that they're not vacuum packed and they're not frozen. They're fresh. So there's very little plastic and all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, if it's reduced, I think you're going to be fine. Obviously, just make sure you cook it all right. Is there someone barking somewhere? Is it my dog? Anyway, right. Here we go. Caroline. What do I mix electrolytes into? Tried water, but it's sort of soapy.
What do I mix the electrolytes? Tried it in water. So, I don't find it soapy at all. Yeah, I mean, I don't get that from it. And I put quite a lot in. You could try mixing it in a shaker bottle, but I mean, I've chucked it in there. I've chucked a sachet, a quick mix, and I mean, you can see that. I mean, it's not, even with a bit of a shake, it's not that you can see that. I don't find it foamy or soapy, so I don't know. Try watering it down. Potentially put less in is another thing. With the thing with the electrolytes is some of the negative feedback is that they are too salty. Some say that they are too sweet. You need to adjust it to taste because they are salts, so they are going to taste salty. It does contain stevia, so they are going to taste sweet. We do have an unflavored version, which is the one for the creme de la creme of the carnivore community, because it's a hard drink. It's the one that I drink, and many others within the community do drink it. But we need to be servicing everybody towards this side of the market. So most people are coming from a high sugar environment. They want to consume the unflavored because they're not yet accustomed to the benefits. So we need to find the middle ground. And this is why we do like the version like this, which is a flavored version. But always adjust to taste. If it's too strong, either way, just dilute or put less in, or both. But yeah, I don't find it soapy at all. I mean, a good stir or a good shake in a bottle, and it should. I mean, it's gone there. I do that. Yes, you get a little bit there, but you'll see now within a couple of seconds, look, it's gone. So I don't know. Try a shaker or give a bit more of a stir. You could add some MCT, which is another trick that I do just to thicken things up. It just adds a different texture to it. I mean, that could sort of give creamier or soapier effect, but it tends not to do it by itself. So try reducing or diluting further.
Yeah, I would also suggest soaking it for longer as well, just as a thing to experiment with. If those other things don't work, I would try that, because you just never know. I used to like doing my salty water, sort of like a little bit like this. I'd leave the salt in a small amount of water, and I'd just leave that overnight, which is called Soleil water, of course, very posh, but all it is salty water. Right, Matthew. This is a different Matthew. Matthew O'Malley. 7 months in, and triglycerides stroke HDL at the beginning were 28 HDL, 185 triglycerides. Now they're 30 HDL and 164 triglycerides. Why are my triglycerides not coming down more? On strict line diet mostly, beef tallow, lamb, bone broth, OMAD. Right, okay. Did you fast for your test? I mean, that's the first thing. I would recommend that you do a 12-hour fast, a proper fast without anything else, except maybe drinking a little bit of water, to retest. That's the first thing. If you did fast for 12 hours with is that dog in my house, Richard, or yours?
Oh, there's nothing this end.
All right, it must be mine.
It must
right,
be
okay,
with you.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm in a box. I'm in a box. There's
you in your boxes. Right, okay.
I'm back in my box.
So yeah, a 12-hour fast, that's the first thing. Just make sure you're doing that. Secondly, actually, that is an improvement. So you just could be slowly adapting. That is still a good thing. What's happening? The trend is right. I'm always going on about trends. Positive lifestyle modifications are reflected in those readings. Your HDL was gone up too, and your triglycerides have come down 21 points. You know, yes, it's 7 months. Was it exactly 7 months when you did the test? I think there could be other things that we could look at if it stays like that, but I definitely do a retest with a full up 12-hour 12-hour fast. Just make sure that happens. Make sure you're hydrated properly. I would also add just some things that can put it up. Obviously, alcohol consumption can put it up. Keep it up. Definitely put your triglycerides up. There can be certain medical conditions we could look out for, but I'd need to see everything else. I don't think that's a reason, because they're coming down. Are you sedentary? That can slow down your progression and improvements. Sorry to say that. Or there could be something still in your diet. But if it's lying, you're going to be okay. So I think, yeah, Matthew, I wouldn't overly worry. Richard, did you want to add something?
Yeah, look, I think all valid points and spot on. The trend, as you say, is coming down, and that's the important thing. Look, what I would say is it may be beneficial to do a full blood panel. How damaged was your body prior to this, if at all? Because sometimes we come into living these lifestyles and we see these magical change. We all hear the stories of people who have lost incredible weights, an incredible amount of weight very quickly, transformed and recovered from all these sorts of things. These are the stories that we hear and see and listen to every day. But for every one of those, there's 10 or 20 where, Joe Blogs down the road is just benefiting ever so slightly and not adapting as quick. And it does depend on a number of factors. But the reason I say that is stick with it, because as Stephen says, everything is moving in the right direction. The reason that I'd say to have the bloods tested is I've seen a few panels in which the pituitary's been damaged through we call it adrenal fatigue, but the adrenals don't actually become fatigued. Well, it's open for debate, but the damage tends to come from the pituitary. That whole system is involved with the production of cholesterol and the maintenance and maintaining of. So if you are incredibly stressed, or if your body is overstressed and creating cortisol, or even not creating any, which is potentially, and I don't want to say it is, but it's just as bad as, at least I'd say, no cortisol or low cortisol is just as damaging as elevated. Through the mechanism that we mentioned earlier. So basically the hypothalamus releases corticotropin releasing hormone. This goes down to the pituitary, and it signals the pituitary to release adrenocorticotropic hormone. And then this signals the adrenal glands to release adrenaline and cortisol. And then when these are released, there's a negative feedback loop, which goes back to the hypothalamus and back to the pituitary to stop the production, because it's done its thing and it stops dead. There are systems in place within the body to allow us to continue to express this mechanism. For example, if we needed more cortisol for prolonged periods of time, and in a natural environment, this would be hunting for our food, or we're chasing an injured animal that we've just caught with our spear, and it's still running away, and we need to run to catch it, as we're not going to eat our food. In modern life, it could be training, and beyond that, it's stress. Lots of stress factors. Now, when it goes past this, it's something called gas. And gas is a theory that came out in the 1930s. I think it was 1936. And it explained the process of how cortisol is released, produced, and where it should be for optimal health and well-being. And we have the ability to overexpress it, but for a certain period of time, but prolonged periods of overexpression, it damages this negative feedback loop, and it creates a positive feedback loop, which increases cortisol, which can downregulate the body's ability eventually to produce cortisol, and it causes damage to the pituitary. When the pituitary is damaged, it can elevate triglycerides by a considerable amount, because the pituitary is involved with the maintenance of things like triglycerides. So my suggestion would be, Matthew, get a full blood panel, book in with a consultation with Steve, because he is the bloods expert. And I'm sure you can take a look at that and see if there's anything awry there. But I just thought I'd throw that in, because it's something that I've been working with two clients recently that have come to see me with low to no cortisol, and the triglycerides in both cases were elevated for prolonged periods of time as a result of this. So something else to throw into the mix. So stress is a big factor.
Yeah, brilliant. Richard, you're on your game now. It's brilliant. You've warmed up. It's really good. Super chat from Ribeye Rob. Thank you very much for your generosity. Have you heard of Daniel Vadnal and his calisthenics program, specifically hanging, which seems to do wonders for the body? Should I add this to my training routine? His YouTube is Fitness FAQs, 1.9 million subs. Right. I've for many years have recommended this book about hanging, which is really great, because it talks about remodeling shoulder joints in particular, the dead hang. I am a big fan. I do not get any money for this. I might even try and get an Amazon affiliate link, because I've been doing this for years, telling people about this. What's great is it actually shows you the bones remodeling, not in real time, but like before and after pictures. And that's what bones do. Osteoclasts, they crush those bones down, and the osteoblasts, they build them up. And, it's just amazing. It happens all the time. So when you do new exercises and you're just hanging, and you put your head in a neutral position, you can find that your shoulder pain really does go bye-bye, which is really good. The other thing is the whole kinetic chain. Your whole body actually strengthens. It will improve all of your lifts. It will improve all of your strength. Even if you're not in the gym, you do dead hanging. Just dead hanging will improve your strength, the grip strength. One of the weirdest things is, when you're in the gym, you're holding things a lot, and yet you don't work on your grip. And you can be doing exercises, and your grip can give way before anything else. So what do you need to do? You need to do dead hanging. So have I heard of it? Yes. It's excellent. I don't go to that channel. I don't think you need to sub to that channel personally. I just think you need to dead hang. And the remarkable thing about it is I can remember when I started, and I was pitiful. I think I did like 58 seconds or something, just dead hanging, which is pretty good, but not great. And within 6 weeks, I was doing over 150 seconds. So it's great. We have nowhere to hang now, by the way, because we moved house, and everywhere's old and rickety, including me. So did you want to add to that, Richard?
Yeah. So, hey, Rob, good support to the channel. Thanks for the super chat. I'm guessing that's gone straight to Steve's. I don't think I've put mine on still.
Well,
possibly.
Keep telling you.
I know. I'm absolutely. I may be creating a new channel soon. So I may be coming away from the Keto Pro YouTube channel and just doing it under a new channel, because Yeah, it's a big thing having gained the subs that we anyway. I'll come back to this. I'm digressing. No, I haven't heard of Daniel. But yes, I just reiterate everything that Steve says. I'm a big fan. It's been something that I've always implemented as part of my training when I was doing the weightlifting and bodybuilding. I used to find that it would just reset everything, but it's also really good for core work. So, and Stephen also mentioned about the head position. You don't want to be doing this or doing this. The head's got to be in a neutral position. But I used to use it for leg raises. So I would hang and I would do some leg raises and I'd work on twisting the torso left and right also. And that really built up the serratus and the abs for me. And I very rarely did any ab training beyond this, but some days I would just hang out, and it seems like something to nothing, but yeah, I'm a big fan.
Right, just wanted to chuck that one in very quickly. How many sleeps till the Carnivore Conference from Tellboy?
Do you know, I will tell you exactly now. I need to.
Well, it's not next weekend, it's the weekend after.
The weekend after, yeah, and it's on the how many 14th. More sleeps, obviously, because it's not tonight. It's not so I'll be up there from the Thursday setting up. But it's 12. Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah. Maybe you should do that in one of your reels. Only 12 sleeps to
12 more sleeps. So yes, yeah. I'll be there. Sylvie will be there setting up along with, or in fact, Ben's not coming until the Friday. But Steve is also coming on the Friday, I believe.
Friday night. Yep.
Yeah. So for us, it's 11 sleeps, or even 10 for me. But yes, so 12 more sleeps. Super excited.
Jay is saying, since put a link in the chat if you want, Richard.
I will do that now. Good thinking.
I will answer this first, and then Richard will improve my answer no end. All right. Since going keto carnivore, I've had leg muscle cramps most nights. I'm supplementing with magnesium glycinate, have added more water and fat to my diet. Still an issue. Any suggestions? Now, I always go off piste, as they say, and suggest you could try folate, because that has resolved leg cramps for some of the people that I deal with. Yes, you're right to try magnesium, I think, as a first port of call. I think you can overhydrate as well as underhydrate. I think Richard might mention calcium. I'm not going to get into his field of expertise, but when he's finished, if his fix doesn't work, which I think it will, because I trust him implicitly, there are very rare times where you need to just use folate, and that tends to resolve it if it's really, really stubborn with all the other methods. So yeah, Richard, fire away.
Yeah, fantastic answer. Look, there is no definitive answer, and we know this from working with clients previously. Now, what I'm going to say now, which is exactly what Stephen was alluding to, is calcium. Calcium is excitatory to the muscle, and magnesium calms it. This is why we add magnesium to help with muscle cramps and to calm the muscle. Calcium and magnesium should be consumed in equal ratios. It's used in equal ratios within the cell, roughly 1-to-1. Our diet, even a carnivore diet, if we are consuming cheese, even raw dairy, eggs. Now, eggs are very high in calcium. If we are consuming too much calcium, it can offset this balance and lead to cramping. So again, I think you're right in regards to increasing the magnesium to try to offset this. But the other lever that you could pull is take a look at the amount of calcium that you're consuming and try to reduce the calcium there. Folate, fantastic answer. Other electrolytes, so it could be a sodium and potassium imbalance. So when we gravitate into this lifestyle, we consume lots of sodium because the kidneys release sodium from the body as we gravitate into the lifestyle from those 4 points in the nephrons in the kidneys that we've mentioned a number of times. And I won't bore you with what they are and how much is lost at each point, but we lose sodium. So we replace the sodium, which is exactly what we need to do. The issue with replacing sodium in excess is that sodium depletes potassium. So now we're in a deficiency of potentially magnesium and potassium. And again, calcium offsets sodium and potassium. So it's as well as magnesium. So we need to make sure that the electrolyte balance is correct. So making sure that you also have adequate potassium in the diet. So those are the first two levers I'd pull: lowering the calcium, potentially looking at the potassium. It could be the opposite. It could be that you're not consuming enough calcium. Calcium is one of the 6 elements that is used in 99% of the cells in the human body. So it's imperative and we need it. But the amount that we use is far less than we're led to believe. So those are the levers that I would put initially. And then I would gravitate into doing what Steve says in regards to the folate. Come back, try any one of those and come back and let us know how you get on. But and again, as Stephen says, it could even be overhydration, because when we consume too much water, we flush out our electrolytes. So there's a few levers to pull there, but calcium seems to be the main trigger in my experience.
Excellent. Right, 5 minutes to go. If you want to join us for the next 30 minutes on school, we put a link in the chat. But here's why these are golden, these things. So Matthew earlier spoke about his triglycerides, and I said, did you fast for 12 hours? And he didn't. He fasted for 18 hours. And there is a very huge reason why triglycerides might be high. Now, the reason I'm saying that, if you always do 18 hours, that's good for your own personal trends. But if you're comparing it to other people who have fasted for 12, then you need to fast for 12. And Matthew, if you've got the money or you've got the time to retest with a 12-hour fast, you could prove my concept here. Because what happens when you start to do that extended fasting, what does your body do? It breaks down that stored fat for energy. What does that increase? Circulating triglycerides. So I'm going to go back to what we said. The trend is that your triglycerides are lower. Because you did 18 hours for both tests, that's a good sign. Now, but it is high compared to everyone else. But you're not comparing eggs with eggs. You're comparing it to a 12-hour fast average. Normative ranges are rubbish for this very reason, to be honest, because it's all about what's optimal for you. As you know, if you prefer to having your blood tests at 18 hours, then you've got to set your own normative ranges. But that's no good, because you need a big cohort of people that do that to actually see, well, what's high, what's low, what's damaging and all that. So I'm sorry to say it, but possibly if you do an 8 to 12 hour fast, you'll definitely see a difference. Definite, 100%, and one that you'll like when you're comparing it to everybody else. But anyway, right. So how do we get to school? Well, I am going to put a link in the chat, while Richard will tell you one more time about the Carnival Conference and who's speaking.
The Carnival Conference, and I will pop another link for you guys there. The tickets are selling hot. I think we are almost sold out of accommodation.
Wow.
So, yes, we are very, very few rooms left. Twins and doubles only. I think there's currently 3 left on the website. But day tickets and event tickets are available. It just means finding accommodation outside of the venue, because we've booked out the entire of Cliff College. So we've booked out the entire venue. It's just us there. So this is an event that has been organized by myself, Ben Hunt, and Sylvie from the Real Food Company. It's going to be an incredible event. I can't wait to get there and mingle with all the speakers and all the people that have been messaging me who were super excited to come and speak to us all in between the sessions and out of hours, because we are there for the full weekend. So this is an incredibly intimate event where there's no VIP section. So we're not segregating the VIPs from everybody else. This is a community, and that's what we are trying to build. We're trying to bring everyone together. We will all be eating in the same room. We will all be in the same room and mingling all together. It's a fantastic event and an opportunity to come and get your questions answered and speak to some of these people direct in person. So this takes place on the 14th and 15th of September. It's a 2-day event, food included. So this includes 5 meals in total, 2 on the Saturday and 3 for the people who are staying at the venue on the Sunday. So an incredible amount of food given the cost of the ticket. But there are lots of hotels, B&Bs, so on and so forth that are available locally. So there's no reason not to book in there and just go online and book a conference-only ticket with meals, which is £199 per attendee. Camping and camper vans are also available with hookup. So that is I think it's a £25 charge direct to Cliff College for that. So you're welcome to romp up and sort that out and camp and bring whatever you want, because it's an absolute credible event in the Peak District, so surrounded by incredible countryside. But yeah, I'm super, super excited. Can't sleep thinking about the event, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. Not to be. This is the first, by the way. This is the first one not to be missed. You don't want to be missing the first.
Excellent. So I hope you enjoyed that, YouTubers. If you want to do the next half an hour, our extra time is over in the school community. We'll be over there now. There's a link in the chat. There's also a link in the description, and we will see you there. I will see Richard there as well. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all. Cheers, guys.
Thanks for watching.